Hey everyone, welcome to this after church tea time. We're very happy to be with you today. I am joined by Nadia and Anja, who usually are my partners in our world today, the unionist perspective. But today we're reunited in after church tea time, and I'm very happy about that. We're just going to unpack this Sunday service and what we felt about it, and specifically about the Jose and Michaela's sermon on unwavering loyalty to the teachings of unions. So yeah, I felt like there was a lot in that Sunday service, and I wondered if you guys had just a feeling or something you'd like to discuss as we begin this discussion. What do you feel?
Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, what I was feeling throughout the whole seminar was my own discovery of love and what I thought God was, and now from the unionist perspective, what God is. And I always thought that God was someone to be feared and someone to be like, you know, He's watching over us, he's judging us, and we're making sure that we're doing things according to him. And of course, that is filled with a lot of anger and a lot of resentment. Like, how could God judge us, when we're unknowing? And then when the teachings of union like poured into my heart, it made a lot more sense. It felt like this is the place that actually says that God is love. Nowhere else did I find that God was love. And so what comes to mind is I think Jose mentioned like, don't abandon love. And before I used to hear, don't abandon God. And I was like, oh, well, I don't want to abandon God and I'm scared. And it was very ego thinking that God was part of this fearfulness. And now I know that like abandoning God is like abandoning love for yourself, love for this life. So it just makes it a whole world easier for me. And yeah, I really enjoy that perspective. And if you think about it like that, like, why would I ever abandon love? Why would I ever abandon my good? And of course, we get through our challenges and we discover love in another layer, in another layer. And you're like, oh, I didn't understand that that was love before. So yeah, I really enjoy the layers that it really deep, like goes to your core and it rings to your heart all the in all of its if you imagine your heart as a house, it rings the bell in all of your rooms, clearing out everything.
Yeah, I agree. I found the whole sermon very comforting for me. It hit really close to home, especially these past few weeks. I feel like I've kind of like, my mind has been very messy. I've been healing a lot of like heavy stuff. And, sometimes it's like very easy to forget that all of this is coming up because, I'm choosing love. I'm choosing to heal myself. So naturally, you're going to have to like see the dirt and, clean house, so to say. I like the house analogy. I use that a lot. And
yeah, it has been hard for a lot of people.
Yeah. And so it was very comforting and reassuring to just hear that reminder that, as long as that core choice of loyalty is there, it's safe. Like whatever is coming up is safe. And, in the past, before I found this work, it would I would run away a lot from all those bad feelings. Like I thought somehow feeling that bad feeling meant I was separate. Like I had this, misaligned belief. And I know now a lot of it has to do with just my upbringing. There was never like space to like feel your feelings, feel your emotions. It was always kind of like demonized. And I just kind of lost touch with it. And now that I'm finding those things again and like learning how to feel, it feels so scary sometimes. But this sermon was really good. And like, because this is something I work a lot with my coach, just like no matter what is coming up, it feels like you're in a hurricane, but in the core of that, like you're safe, you're at home. And even if things around you look crazy, like the core of it is always peaceful because I'm clear in that decision. Like there's, nothing that can deter me. I have experienced enough contrast to know that I don't want to be there. But sometimes like you can't trust your mind, and yeah, I feel like I'm rambling right now, but it was good. It was comforting for me to really hear Jose and Michaela talk about those things.
Yeah, you weren't randomly rambling. And when you were saying of going through that fear, it reminded me of when Jose and Michaela mentioned about holding God's hand. And like the external is not what you think is what it's supposed to be. And so I keep asking, God, are you holding my hand? Are you holding my hand? And it's okay. Like God will always say, yeah, I'm holding your hand. We're going through this together.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to jump on what you said about sometimes you can't trust your mind. And I feel like it touches on the fact that there are two voices in this world. There is a voice of ego and there's a voice of God. Usually the voice of ego in this deep, like challenging moments, it's the loudest. And sometimes when you aren't used to feeling your feelings, so you have a lot of things to heal, we think it's the voice of God. And maybe that's why we can think in any way at any moment of our life or our past lives, but God is a fearful God. God is a punishing God when it's not actually the case. And yeah, just sometimes you have to hear your heart. Sometimes you just have to take a step back and not act from a place of fear and ego in in a very fast and rushed way. And I've been learning that a lot at the moment. And what stood out to me was the fact that all throughout the sermon, it was talking about going to the next level and how messy it can be and how dark it can seem from the external, but how it's just like the moment when you need to stay loyal, basically. In loyalty, I think about it, it's a core value for me. Like it's very important, and I like to be dedicated to what I have and how I feel. And I've been going through a challenge in terms of like I've been going through several challenges, and that remind me of this sermon, and I thought it was like perfect timing. And I liked when Jose and Michaela were talking about how ego is going to hit on where you're most vulnerable. So your finances and your relationships. And I have experienced both in the past few months. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm proud of me for being loyal to myself and just not listening to the voice of ego and really listening to what is actually communicated to me by God and trusting that is here and just asking also that he get me through this challenge smoothly. And I think it's so reassuring to have that foundation and support. And how I felt about like having problems with my relationships is that it can seem so weird on the outside to be so loyal and dedicated to this work. But it's not. It's just like you're dedicated to God and to love through the work, which has proven to you time and time again that it's safe to be here and to be trusted, and there is God here. And that's what I remind myself is that I've been here for not 4 years, but almost. And I had my share of like discovering and being skeptical and poking and and observing, and now I know what works for me. And it just so happens that it's right here in the teachings of union. So it's safe to be faithful to that and know that it's always your support. And it's safe also to feel that actually a lot of people are feeling the same way. So you're never going to be alone in that dark place. You're just going to have someone you can talk to, a class that can cheer you up, a sermon that can bring you comfort, an Ascension coach that can help you heal through all of that. So yeah, I just find this so peaceful, and it can seem like Mina was saying in the card reading, it can seem so explosive on the outside, but it's so peaceful and heavenly on the inside, like, and yeah.
I feel like, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Nadia.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like Eurene, you brought up a good point that Jose and Michaela also made in the sermon, was about just like, this is not necessarily just about like you and your twin flame, but all aspects of your life, and like really making sure that you're staying loyal to God and loyal to yourself, and you know, your union in everything you do, like the way you feed yourself, the way you talk to yourself, you know, like, and I like how they mentioned like who you are when you were like by yourself, you know, there's no one else there watching you, like able to hold you accountable when it's just like you and you. What are you choosing in those moments? And you know, that's something big too that I've been, you know, working on, and there's a lot of stuff coming up around that. And like just feeling capable of taking care of yourself, you know, especially like with me, like I kind of like grew up in an environment that was kind of codependent. You know, a lot of like kind of like you felt like suffocated, and but consequence of that was like not really learning how to like truly trust your inner voice, and like trust that you know how to take care of yourself. Like these other people outside of you, like even though they may mean well, they don't necessarily really understand who you are like you do. And you know, that's, I feel like that's been one big thing for me in terms of like healing and like finding the courage to really stand in my power. And like I feel like this community has been such a game changer in that way, because I went from like just being like kind of by myself and like going through my spiritual journey on my own and trying to just find whatever I could that resonated with me, to like coming to a place that has taken everything that I've kind of been exposed to and just like put it in such a nice, accessible like form. And you know, I like, there's so much support, like, and through all of this community and meeting like-minded people, you start, at least for me, like finally like realizing like, oh no, all these feelings that I've had are like real, and I can trust myself, and the choices that I make, you know, are good when it's like based in what I know in my heart to be my truth. And it's like one of the hardest things probably that I've like had to do. I feel like a little baby sometimes in like some areas, like literally starting from scratch of like just learning how to, you know, take care of myself and be loyal to Andia, like who Andia really is. And it's nice to know that you're not the only one, like was said in the sermon, you know, and like we've said here, like you're not alone.
You're far from being the only one. I resonate with everything you said, from like parental relationships and healing in that place to taking care of yourself. And sometimes it feels like, especially when no one's looking, it feels like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this adulting? But yeah, I like that. Yeah, you can just take your time with it. I appreciate that through dedicated effort, you're just going to get there, and there's going to be no one else to judge you. On the contrary, you're probably going to find people to help you through this, and yeah, suddenly what you thought was challenging is going to seem so easy because you just kept loving yourself in this place.
Yeah, I like what both of you guys mentioned, and especially Irene, when you were mentioning your time here, and at first you were skeptical and you were poking and prodding. And I'm at that place because it's been like maybe it'll be almost a year soon. And I started off poking and prodding, and I used to be very loyal, but like to the wrong thing. And when I realized I was loyal to abusive people, people that don't reciprocate my love, I was like, no, I'll never be loyal. Like that really was the foolish thing to do. And I'll only be loyal to unconditional love, and without really fully understanding what unconditional love was. And as I was poking and prodding within this community, I realized that God is also loyal to me. Like every step I go deeper, he meets me there too. And I was like, hey, I'm right here too. Like, just like I was told in this community. And thank God for our gurus and our coaches. Like, as we go deeper and deeper, they reinforce that over and over again so that we can have such a faith with love and such an understanding with love. And it reminds me of the card reading of going into your essence and really understanding that at your core you're also love, and you're understanding God so much better when you go into your essence. So yeah, that was beautiful.
So I guess like I don't know, I have like a question coming up. Like I guess what is how do you guys feel like that process of getting to that place, like where you make that choice that you were, because you know, Nadia, you said like there was a time where you were loyal, but it was to the wrong things, you know, like I always wonder to myself, like, how does someone just all of a sudden, you know, and I know that like obviously our soul knows everything, our heart knows, and so there's always like this thing that's there, I feel like, but like what is that process exactly? Like how do you say it looked for both of you in terms of getting to that place where you knew that choice so firmly in your heart?
Mm, well, I think like on the external, it may seem like all of a sudden, but it feels like God has been preparing the soil for years, if I can say that. I remember all of my experiences from the moment I moved out of my parents' house, and even before all these little things that I thought were very small, but actually were forging my character, my personality, and also teaching me lessons that helped me get to this point today. And so, yeah, I was skeptical because, like, I think the work we do here is radical. It may seem so on the external. It takes time to stomach everything. And now that I see this in my family, I have compassion for the way you can go to fear and just like looking from the outside and not really trusting yet. But it's all right. It's like every relationship. As long as you basically see everything as a relationship and be open, I think you're fine. And then several years down the road, you're just reminded by God, or even you come to that realization yourself that sometimes healthy skepticism has had its part, like it's time, and now it's time to trust. And when you trust, you see even more of the results that were promised to you, and you trust more, and so you keep on deepening that trust. And yep, that's about it for me. I think I covered everything, but it's a process. It's a process, and it's a relationship. Basically, it's a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
you mentioned that preparation, I feel like that's, for all of us, we probably have felt that way. Like we've had these experiences in life that have just pushed us kind of to, where we are now. And, I don't think you just coincidentally come to this work. Like, obviously we have all like put in the work to attract something so like such a blessing into our lives. And yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that whole preparation. I like the way you put that.
Yeah. And I also wanted to say, like, you come to such a point in your life where you have nothing else to lose except for love. Like you don't want to lose love, but you would rather lose everything else but love. And I was like given a breakthrough a couple days ago with my coach about this. Like, I think I was like really distraught about like the ego and my last couple of like really fearful thoughts about going deeper. And I was really glad to bring that to my coach. Like, I didn't want to stuff it in. I didn't want to be like, oh my God, this is not loyal to love. This is not aligned with God. I really wanted to bring that up to my coach so that she could fill me with more resonance to love and I can confirm deeper. And it's okay to confirm deeper and deeper and deeper. Like, God is very patient and God is also very loyal to you. However long it takes for you to continue deeper and deeper, that's your path and that's how it's meant to be. And the more you confirm, the stronger you get with that. Each assurity comes with a stronger relief and peace that, like, this is my whole being. Like, it starts covering, your soul starts covering your whole being of the message of love.
Yeah. It reminds me, I think they mentioned in the sermon about this like recognition that God has always been there, and all these experiences you've had, God is there, God is everywhere. And it just reminds me of like what Yoreen was saying about having these experiences and feeling like, the soil's kind of being tilled to plant the seed. And it's like you don't even, like looking back now, I realize that God has really always been there for me. I just didn't really understand what it meant to love and what love. I had a really distorted image of it because of what I was fed, you know, when I was a little kid, that you have to like pay a price to be loved, and you have to kind of like prove yourself, and you always have to like be doing something. You know, there wasn't like this sense of like just being and just appreciating the creation that you are. And you know, once I learned what that is, I've realized that, you know, really God really has always been there, and I've never failed. Anytime like that fear comes, like if you really think back and you think like, all right, when this thought is coming, but when have you ever truly failed? Like it's not real, you know, it's an illusion. And I think for me, that's what's kind of really reinforced the loyalty, is like being able to have these teachings and understand my feelings and heal, and then be able to look back and realize that really everything has led me to this. Like this is what I've been seeking my whole life. And you know, I have been doing the work, and like I feel like sometimes like I myself, I get lost in just like, oh, there's all this work to do, instead of like just like pausing and like just appreciating where I'm at right now. Like even if there's like things that I still need to heal and, you know, whatever, but like as union, the teachings of union teach us, God already thinks we're perfect. Like there's nothing for us to do. Like it is here now. That love is here now. You know, and I don't know where I was going with that, but I just felt inspired to say.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad, because if you're loyal to anything, be loyal to unconditional love and your highest good and your compassion, and allow these teachings to prove itself to you. And I allow these teachings to prove itself to me over and over again. And sometimes if the ego is really loud, I use my body as a pendulum. And so I stand up and I ask God, is this the most highest good, compassionate, unconditional love for me? And in my mind, I may have been like, yes. And God's like, no. And I lean backward, like, no, not at all. And I was like, oh, okay. So now I know, like, at least I'm asking my heart, you know, first and foremost, who can I truly go to but my heart? And I know God resides in that. So, like,
Yeah.
if you stand strong in that, then these teachings will definitely resonate, and it will continue to build that foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, Andia, you gave us some gems there, and I feel like I relate to you as well, Nadia, because I remember a class where Shaleia was saying that God mostly communicates with her through feelings, and I find that to be true. Sometimes, like I've been really feeling it this past few days. Like for example, I would walk to work or back from work, and there are several routes between my house and work, and sometimes like certain mornings my feelings would call me to take the left route, and sometimes they will call me to take the right, and sometimes it's just about a feeling, and it's very subtle, but as you refine it, as you go deeper into it, like you can hear the voice of God better, and through your feelings or through other people speaking. And I like that because a lot of the leveling up that I've been doing has been coming through communications from God, from a lot of things like music, feelings, a friend, my Ascension coach. Like it can come from anything. You just have to recognize it and open your heart to it. And I feel like the something specific about this community that maybe other people don't have yet is this openness to explore. It's like kind of being explorers at this time and showing the way to other people. And I also relate to really taking the time to be loyal to yourself, like being loyal to Urine, because like I feel like a lot of households where there were codependent relationship, you learn to be loyal to your parents and elders, specifically for people of color. Like it's most respectful, and you don't have a right to say anything, and you can be abused in that relationship, even if they don't realize that it's abuse. And it goes back to what Jose and Michaela were saying. And standing up to this abuse can look different for everyone. It can look with like oral boundaries or like internal boundaries. It can look like right now. I've learned all my life to be loyal to a person. Now I'm going to be loyal to the voice of God, and it's definitely very different and paradigm shifting for our families and a lot of people in this world. But that's what's true, and I feel like, as Nadia was saying, you can take your time with it. Like I would advise people to not go like headfirst into something, and really like take your time to reveal that thing with God. Like that's the most beautiful journey for me, going to that place where you realize that you're trusting God more and more. Like that feeling don't lie. It doesn't lie, and I think it's also about trusting that everyone has that connection with God, and it's safe to shine your truth and to be truthful to yourself and respectful to yourself. It allows people, it may seem messy on the outside, and that's when the challenge coming and the dark time comes in. But I think it's also helping people to really wake up from and claim their true self, like the divinity inside, and see the truth and see the gift that you've given to them. Yeah, and yeah, I just want to reaffirm that by being loyal to myself, even if it feels messy in my relationships right now, I feel like it's a gift. Like I've had some hard conversations with my parents, for example, and I woke up feeling like, oh my God, like they gave me exactly, they helped me see how loyal I was to myself and to God. And that made me reaffirm that choice that I made in myself. And I feel like I can communicate on it, and I'm an artist, so I feel my feelings through making art. And I have that really sense of creativity and connection with God, and I feel like it's so beautiful. And so it's just about realizing that all the challenges will pass, and there's beauty. There's even beauty in the most dire things. So it's safe to feel through them. That's how God is, like even through the most like weird things, like the places of ego, you will have God putting a lesson here for you or putting a gift here for you, because the truth is you're never separate from Him. And we're coming back to that place of feeling that you're never separate from God. And that goes for us, at least through the teachings of union at this time. And it may feel like sometimes it's hard, like you're going to give up, but you realize that it's all part of the journey. Like on the other side of the block, you have that renewed sense of like being closer to God. And in the end, that's all that matters. Whatever ego says, like you're going to lose everything or not going to be able to pay your bills, you're going to be alone, like that's not true. You're always going to have more God on the other side when you're loyal. So be clear about your choices, and if you're not clear, take the time to get clear. And it's wherever you are on the journey, it's okay. Basically, we're all going through hardships, and we're not alone. And that's good.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned exploring, because as Jeff had mentioned, it's like a dance with God. And as you dance, you start to really get comfortable with the voice of God. And it's streamlining your entire life, your manifestations. And it reminds me of yesterday when I was jamming to some music and I missed my exit to go home. And I'm really close to Philly, so I went straight to Philly instead of going home. And I was like, oh God, I was talking to God, I was listening to music. God, we ended up in Philly. How did this happen? And he was like, just keep going. And I saw like a lot of historical buildings. So I was like, oh, this was beautiful drive. I'm gonna head home. It would have been wonderful if we passed by the Independence Hall, but of course, I'm not sure where that is, and I'm not gonna, go find it right now. I'm gonna head home. And so I'm in tuning with myself, and I'm like, okay, this is the way home. I think I take a right here. I take a right, and right in front of me is the Independence Hall. And I'm like, not only did I have this adventure with God, I just freely use my intuition because I have the time, I have the love. Why not? Why not go in this exploration? And not only did I get this little adventure, I also got my manifestation. Just the thought, it would be so lovely to pass by this. And God put it right in front of me. So, yeah, like look forward to the things that God will bring you, even with your own dance and your own exploration of God. Like, you never know the surprises. Like, you were mentioning your art, like, you discover this whole part of yourself while discovering. And so it's beautiful, the gifts God has awaiting for you as you continue your relationship with love.
Yes, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm in love with your story. That's so awesome. And I experienced the same too. You never know. And sometimes you have plans and God has bigger plans. And sometimes it's not even plans on the long term. It's like he has gifts every day. Sometimes on Sundays, like I would say like, oh my God, I need to do this, catch up on work that I didn't do this week and clean. And then God says, let's go outside. And I take a walk and then I end up on a date with myself. It's happened like twice right now since the beginning of the year. And I'm like, yeah, I see what you mean.
It's so beautiful romancing God and romancing yourself. Like, yeah. I have a couple notes. Let me check my notes. Yeah. So this note of remember those who love you. As you get clear on what love is, and you understand that someone is sincerely loving you back, to have that reciprocation, that give and receive of that love is working in that garden in heaven. Like if we had our one job was to help nourish the garden of earth as heaven on earth, like that relationship of appreciation and that give and take really gives that soil some nurturing, some medicine. It's not medicine, the fertilizer. Yeah. Of like us collectively working on this earth. And so I was reminded of that.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'm just feeling into it. Yeah, what's coming up is there's something about the unknown, and that leap of faith right now. And just feeling, and
Yeah, to feel the unknown as beautiful
Mm.
instead of before the unknown was scary. And
fearful, yeah.
yeah,
I think
and,
yeah, I think we're shifting probably from what our parents told us about the unknown to something like that. And so I have a lot of compassion with like how we are and how we were, and also where they are as well.
mm,
And yeah, I just always like that. Testing things. Of course, I had my upbringing, so I had things to heal through that, but I think I'm the risk taker of a family, and for my parents, it's not ideal because the more I go into this work, the more risk I will take because my choices may look crazy in the external. But I justify it sometimes. I'm not always making crazy choices. I justify it by just I heard the voice of God, and I sat with it, and I asked and I probed and I said like give me signs that it's the right way, and he said yes, and I'm just following that word, and I'm just it feels so good on the inside. Like that's another compass that our parents maybe didn't give us. It's the feeling compass instead of a logical compass all the time. If it feels good, well, go for it. And sometimes maybe you need support in hearing the voice of God or feeling what is good or what is maybe not so good to do at its time. But yeah, you can trust that you're always helped. And I find it so funny to take risk and be rewarded. And also I find it so healing that you can show to other people that it's okay, it's not as bad as you thought. Ego is going to tell you that it's going to be the end of the world and something bad is going to happen. And then you come out even more powerful. And that's the beauty of God. That there's never going to be like illusion is it's an illusion. That's all that it is. Ego is an illusion. And so there's always going to be a beautiful ending. That's a promise. And when you start believing in that promise, I think you can be unstoppable. And that's the loyalty that we're talking about. Trusting God, even when it looks weird, even when sometimes you say, God, why am I doing this? What's going on? Why? How? What's the goal of this? And yeah, you just trust. And yeah, that's a good quality, trusting and being loyal.
Yeah, because even if we don't know what the future is going to necessarily look like, the how, the when, all of that, as we've learned in being in part of this school, Church of Union, um, if you have a desire in your heart, it's there from God. And if you walk with him, like you said, Eurene, like it's guaranteed to come to fruition. If you take the steps to heal yourself and, live your life with God, like you said, like there's nothing, there's nothing we can't do. It's our birthright. We are extensions of him. We are his creation. So, and I have a lot of compassion for people who are still choosing separation, and I have compassion for the parts of myself that still are healing that, but that brings so much peace. Just, it's like this, it's supposed to be fun. Like life is supposed to be fun. God is fun. He's not like uptight and oh, like, where are you gonna do this? And like, you know, and like for me, that's been one big thing is just like finding my inner child, that joy that my inner child has. And, like not being so concerned about what is going to happen next and just enjoying this day, you know, like, and I love what you both brought up about just like surrendering your day to his voice and letting him take you to where he wants you to go. And anytime I do that, I have the best day. And like on the outside, it doesn't look that crazy. Like, oh, I go to the grocery store, or, you know, I go have lunch with myself, or I go to the movie, but it's just like that partnership that you feel with God, and just knowing that like this is how every day can be. Like, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's like once again, like I feel like a little baby, just like totally taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes once God took me to McDonald's on that Sunday walk, and I was like, really? McDonald's out of all the restaurants? And he's like, well, yeah, but you like it, that your soul would be fulfilled at this time. Maybe that's what I needed in some metaphysical forms. Like I just needed to go to McDonald's. I don't know, but yeah, it made me happy, and it's just once. Why not?
International McDonald's are a lot better than
Yes,
in
they
the
are.
US.
But the US McDonald's? Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
You'll be the judge of that when you try it.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes maybe when I come back to the East Coast, I'll test and I'll tell you.
Yeah, but I'm glad you guys brought up the experience of contrast, because you see it so real in front of you, like within your parents, siblings, relatives, friends, like you see their life. And of course, you don't know what they're feeling in their heart, but you do get an inkling, like as empaths, and you do understand that, like, within you, there's like a river flowing and it's like unstoppable, and the waves get bigger and bigger. And sometimes within them, the river hasn't started flowing yet. It hasn't, it's completely stopped, or they're completely shunned from the voice of God. And of course, you have compassion for them, but you also are like, take that as like appreciation, like how far I've come to give that peace to myself. Like, how much love did I really give myself? You can see it every day in contrast. And another thing I wanted to bring up was, oh, I forgot. You guys go ahead.
Maybe
Please.
it'll come back, like
Yeah.
as God. But yeah, I liked what you said, and I used to think that it was going to be the end of the world if I showed like my true self and the work to my family. And then I became an Ascension coach this week, and so I'm like, yeah, you can't hide the truth, and you can't hide love, and you can't hide the light. And is I know for some people it's going to be devastating, but I know some people just wanted to judge, and that's okay. I'm like, I don't mind. It may be uncomfortable to have these people observe and see me at first, but it's not about that. And I would just advise like people that are going through this to just take a step back and breathe, first of all. Like even if your family is saying it's the end of the world, like it's not. You're going to show them as well. You're going to lead them to their own like awakening, and it may seem uncomfortable, but don't try to protect their ego. Like being loyal to God is being loyal to the God in them too. It's being loyal to God everywhere.
Yeah.
Within you first, and then just not protecting their ego is what I'm going to say. And you're going to feel freer because you have nothing to hide. Like it's just you, your authentic self. You're just showing yourself to the people, and it feels good. And from that base, you can show them. Like I'm just going to say, like, let me show you by the example of my life, and by the example of what I heal, and by the example of who I am. But I'm doing something good, and good may not seem like how you taught me to feel good and be good, but it's it's so good. It's good for me.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like it's kind of like what you said. It's it reminds me of what Jeff has said before, that, you know, everyone is going to wake up eventually. It's just, you know, it's going to be at different times. We're all on different points in our journey, but eventually every child of God will come home. And I feel like when we are our authentic selves and we let our light shine, we may be acting as a catalyst for someone else. Like you never know. You never know how
Yeah.
your presence is going to inspire or affect, even if like it seems like it's hate and anger. You have no idea what's going to happen a year down the line, 2 years down the line, in another lifetime. Like you don't know, but you have, like, the fact that you were created by God, you have to be loyal to that creation because it has a purpose. It has a higher purpose for all of, you know, human consciousness waking up and becoming one again with God.
Mhm. When I was a kid, I liked reading the stories of the Catholic saints. And man, they're respected today, but they're all rebels. Like they're shunned from society. My God, like we don't realize that sometimes taking your own route can feel like it's messy. And yeah, you never know. As you said, I love what you said. It reminds me of, I showed the mirror exercise to people like years before this day, and some of them are just coming back to me right now and saying, hey, you do coaching, how's it like? I really like to, things in the world haven't seemed like okay for me right now, and I really like to try your way. Seems to work. So yeah, you never know. And that's how we're going to explode into that joy and expand, and yeah, that's all that I'm going to say. Don't be afraid of messiness, because if you know you have something good, like you can't hide it. You have to share it with the world, and that's part of being loyal to yourself, because you're showing yourself as you are. That's There's so much freedom in that.
Yeah, I love that message, both you guys, what you're saying. And it reminded me of like my twin flame. Like, you can't hide yourself from your twin flame. That is like the strongest teaching tool that you have. And you can't protect their ego because you can't protect your ego. So it really teaches you of like being that rebel, being that authentic self, because who else aside from God knows your soul so well, aside from your twin flame? And who else do you know as a soul so well but your twin flames? So it gives us a great practicing ground for the whole world with between our twin flame and us, and even understanding God's relationship with us.
It's very beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, it feels like the discussion is coming to an end.
Mhm.
How do you guys feel? Any last words?
Yeah, any last words on loyalty? How do you guys feel about loyalty? It reminds me of dedication to yourself.
Yeah.
Being
think
brave and fearless, I would say.
Yep. Yeah, authentic, brave. Like, I don't know, I always think of just like, I think for me, just that rebel energy I resonate with a lot. Like just being kind of like a trailblazer and not taking any nonsense from anyone else.
I'm with you on that. 100% with you. Yeah.
Because I feel after a while, it would hurt your heart. You know, the stronger you make your heart, if you are starting to become, well, abandoning yourself or being disloyal, it starts hurting you, affecting you very strongly, as maybe before it didn't, because you were so like numb to it or so unaware to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you so much, ladies. That was an awesome discussion of almost an hour. And thank you to everyone who watched. live from the Unionism discussion group, and later on YouTube. If you really liked our discussion, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to just be aware of all the discussions that we have throughout the week. And yeah, I wish you a very good Sunday or whatever day you're watching this on, and take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye. Happy Sunday.